What is up? What is up? You are listening to Locked On NBA Draft, or if you're not listening to the podcast, you're watching me on my NBA Draft Junkies YouTube channel. Obviously, you found me, so I don't know why I just repeated that. But I'm excited because it is NBA Draft Week. My favorite day of the year is the NBA Draft. I'll take the NBA Draft over Christmas, even my birthday, which in this weird calendar year, my birthday and the NBA Draft are just 3 days apart. So overall, this is going to be a great week for me. But now let's get into the real reason why you're tuning in, because it is my mock draft 4.0. I'll just put it like this. I made some changes, which I think most people have probably made quite a bit of changes. I don't want to say that I overthought it. I feel like I overthought the 2020 draft, because we had so much time. I mean, the draft was in like November, and I started like really studying for the draft in like January. So I had too much time to overthink it. But let's just get right into it. The first pick, it is the Detroit Pistons. I have them selecting Cade Cunningham. I think this is a no-brainer, although I feel like Detroit made a wise choice to entertain some of the other picks just in case Cleveland or Houston had a package that would blow them off the water. Oh, I forgot to mention, my mock draft is based off of if I am the general manager of each team in the direction I would go in. It's not necessarily a big board. It's not based off of intel. It's not based off of, what I think the team would do. This is based off of me as the general manager. So I just wanted to get that clear. Number 2, it is the Houston Rockets. I was kind of leaning towards Evan Mobley pretty much all the way up until a couple of days ago. But now, if I'm Houston, I'm going to go with Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green has the upside to be, just this tremendous go-to scorer. The reason why I selected him over Mobley is because I feel that Mobley would be best as like a secondary scorer. So, you look at like Anthony Davis and Chris Bosh. Those are two guys that he's been compared to. Neither one of those guys really won anything until they got paired up with LeBron. I know Davis won one playoff series against my Blazers. I don't want to relive that. But at number 3, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have them selecting Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley will provide defense. It'll be an interesting fit with him and Jared Allen, but you can also say the same thing if he were to go to or Houston with Christian Wood. At number 4, it is pretty much the guy that I think everybody has penciled in or even written in marker going to Toronto. It is Jalen Suggs, the point guard, quarterback, floor general from Gonzaga. I think he'll be a good fit there. It sounds like Kyle Lowry is on his way out. I even read that Pascal Siakam is unhappy in Toronto. Now, that is very interesting, and that could possibly, play a role on what happens on draft night. So, that's something that I want to keep my eyes on. At number 5, it is the Orlando Magic. I have Orlando selecting Jonathan Kuminga. So my top 5 is pretty much the same. If you've been listening, Kuminga to Orlando is something that I've been pushing for a while. I think it makes sense, even though there's going to be a lot of redundancy there. At number 6, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder selecting Scottie Barnes. Now, if you had a chance to listen to the Ultimate Mock Draft, which was presented by Locked On, it was me, Chad Ford, and the Draft Dummies, and my guy Richard Stamen, who does Mavs Draft. And when it came time for the Thunder to pick Scottie Barnes, I kept hearing about him being this ultimate glue guy, and I made the comment that kind of went viral was, are we selecting glue guys in the top 6 now? I still stand by that. Everything you hear about Scottie Barnes is that he's the ultimate glue guy, but it is still kind of weird to me that that's where we're going as far as selecting guys in the top 6. Not a knock on Scottie Barnes' talent. I just think that his talent will be maximized most if he's on a team with a bunch of superstars. I don't know if you're going to see the best of Scottie Barnes on a rebuilding team. So that's just my opinion there. At number 7 is the Golden State Warriors, and I made a change. Last time I had Davion Mitchell going to the Warriors. This time I have James Bouknight. I think Bouknight will provide instant offense off the bench. A good situation that will allow him to learn from some great vets. And I think it would just be a good pick for Golden State if they keep it. Would not be shocked if Golden State moves this pick, because the window for winning a championship is I mean, I don't think it's close, but I mean, it's shrinking. And I see Golden State looking to package their 2 lottery picks and maybe James Wiseman and Andrew Wiggins for an all-star caliber player. Something that they've been looking for since Kevin Durant decided to take his talents to Brooklyn. At number 8, it is the Orlando Magic back on the clock again, and I have them selecting Arkansas swingman Moses Moody. Moody shot 38% from 3. Again, it will be a lot of wings in Orlando, and their young team, they're looking to rebuild, and I just think they're going to just kind of let the chips fall where they may. It's going to be a lot of redundancy there, but I have them selecting Moses Moody. At number 9, it is the Sacramento Kings, and I have Sacramento selecting Franz Wagner. I almost called him Mo Wagner because I just watched the Germany-Italy game. I've read somewhere that he has a guarantee there. I don't know how true it is. I think Wagner would be a good complementary piece as far as just kind of being like a connective tissue and a glue guy that kind of gels with this Kings team. But again, this is a team that a lot of their players have been mentioned in trade rumors, from Buddy Hield. I saw Buddy Hield to the Lakers. Marvin Bagley's name has come up. Rashawn Holmes is a free agent, but I think Wagner would be a good pick. Oh, and how could I forget about Harrison Barnes, whose name has also come up in trade rumors. Don't know what Sacramento is doing there, but I would not be stunned if this is a team that looks totally different by the end of draft night. At number 10, it is the New Orleans Pelicans. And New Orleans is a team that has also been mentioned in a lot of trade rumors, but I have them selecting Jalen Johnson. And, a lot of Duke guys on the team. You just add another Duke guy. I think Trajan Langdon went to Duke. You have Zion went to Duke. You have Ingram went to Duke. I mean, I know J.J. Redick is gone, but at one point it seemed like the team had a bunch of Duke guys. I think Jalen Johnson could be, with a creative coach. I don't know how creative Willie Green is as a coach. I'm happy to see him get the job. But I think Jalen Johnson and Zion and Ingram could provide some creative, talented lineups. Very interesting to see what they do with Steven Adams, but this is where I would go if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans. Pick number 11. I've been flip-flopping on this pick. And as of today, Isaiah Jackson is my guy for the Charlotte Hornets. I watched this film again. I think the guy has tremendous upside, which is a word I think has been overused, and I know I have a bad habit of using it a lot. But when I watch Jackson's film again, I'm starting to think that he was not able to fully showcase his whole skill set and everything that he brings to the table at Kentucky. It's been well known that there are guys that have sacrificed at Kentucky and they weren't able to showcase everything they could do. I think Jackson has some skills that could definitely translate to the NBA. If he can improve as a mid-range shooter, improve his jumper, I think it's going to open up his face-up game. He has some nice drives to the basket. He's a defender. He's athletic, a rim runner, vertical lob threat, great shot blocker. I think that he would be a very wise choice for the Charlotte Hornets. Before I had him selecting Kai Jones. So at numero 12, I have the San Antonio Spurs going across the water and taking Turkish MVP, the 18-year-old throwback post player, Alperen Şengün. If you get a chance, go to my YouTube channel and look at the video I made. I compared Alperen Şengün to Al Jefferson, so we got, Big Al compared to Big Al, so that's the new name. Big Al, Alperen Şengün. I like him in San Antonio. Hopefully we can bring the throwback center back. When I was watching the film, I just love watching Al Jefferson on the block, mostly on, the left block so he could drive right. Şengün is a little bit better of using both sides of the paint. But yeah, I want to bring the throwback center back. I don't know how it's going to happen. I still think there is a place for throwback players like Şengün, so I think San Antonio would be a pretty good fit there. At number 13, it is the Indiana Pacers, and I have Davion Mitchell sliding. I had him at goal number 7 to the Warriors before, and just kind of watching film, I think Book Knight has more upside, and then it just kind of, went from there. He would be, a pretty decent fit with the Indiana Pacers. Curious to see what happens with Rick Carlisle there. Carlisle has kind of had a reputation for being tough on his point guards. But Mitchell will, he'll share the backcourt. At least he'll share minutes with Malcolm Brogdon, probably play beside him. And I think that he's ready to come in and contribute right away. Carlisle isn't really known for liking rookie point guards. And so I think with Mitchell's experience, I think that will help him out and put him in a different situation as some of the previous point guards, because the Pacers aren't really rebuilding. Even though they're a lottery team, I don't consider them a team that's rebuilding. At number 14, the last pick in the lottery, it is the Golden State Warriors, and I have them selecting Corey Kispert, the sharpshooter from Gonzaga, plug-and-play guy, ready to come in and play. If the Warriors keep their picks with Bouknight and Kispert, I think you added some depth at the wings. You got your bucket getter, your scorer, and Bouknight, and then you got your floor spacer and, solid defender in Corey Kispert. I think Kispert is an underrated defender. I think he's a pretty good team defender. So that wraps up the lottery. At number 15, I have the Washington Wizards, and I have no idea which direction the Wizards are going to go. But if I am the Wizards, I can't imagine Westbrook and Bill being there at this time next year. Time to start the rebuild. I know they kind of, put it together a little bit at the end of the year. There are some rumors that Bill wants to go to Boston. I heard that, between now and the draft, he may demand a trade. We'll see. But it's time to start the rebuild. I would go with Josh Giddey, the 6'8" maestro, playmaker, extraordinary passer from Australia. At number 16, it is the Oklahoma City Thunder again. I have them selecting Usman Garuba, another international player. Garuba is one of my favorite players in this draft. Played for Real Madrid. Don't really feel like they used him to his strength. There were a lot of games where he was standing in the corner. Shooting is not his best asset right now, but I think he's the best defender in this draft right now. At least the best post defender. Some may say Scotty Barnes, and some may say like Isaiah Jackson, but I think Garuba is ready to come in and contribute right now on the defensive end. He's also a really good passer. Hasn't really had a chance to really show everything that he can do in the short role as a passer, but I think that he's a really good passer. So I would go with Usman Garuba at number 16. At number 17, it is the Memphis Grizzlies, who have been hitting the drafts out of the park. I mean, they've drafted very well. I have them going with Chris Duarte. I know it's a little bit of redundancy. They took Desmond Bane last year. I don't really know what rookie can come in and really contribute, but Duarte is, he's a veteran. He's 24 years old. He's a veteran, and he's older than quite a few guys that are on their roster now. But I think he's a plug-and-play guy. I think he's another shooter, and I think that would be a pretty good fit for Memphis. Maybe not the best fit for him, because if he would have fell to another team, there'd probably be more minutes. But the Grizzlies could also look to trade this pick, because they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of good players, and they may be looking to package some of these players or this pick for maybe to move down in the draft, or maybe to get another well-known superstar, secondary star type player. I don't know. But let's go on to pick number 18. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder back on the clock, and the Thunder are in position to swing for the fences. Might as well go for Sharif Cooper. Again, the Thunder had a good point guard last year in Teo Maledon, who had a good rookie year. Sharif Cooper is exciting, and Sam Presti just has to hit once or twice on all of these 17 draft picks he has. They're in the best position to swing for the highest upside. If the pick fails and doesn't work out, they got a bunch of picks behind it. So I'm going to go with Sharif Cooper here. A lot of people think that Zaire Williams would end up in Memphis or Oklahoma City at this range, but I'm going with Sharif Cooper. Cooper, Pokashevsky, Scotty Barnes. Team may not win a lot of games, but I think the fans will come out and support that team. I can't forget about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. All right, at number 19, it is probably the hardest team to pick for, because Knicks fans are going to be on my head regardless of the choice. But I'm going to go with Jared Butler. Hopefully everything checks out well. I know there was some issues. I think it was related to his heart. But I think that he would be a good game manager for the New York Knicks. He can defend. He can knock down open shots. He can run a team. New York has some issues scoring. There may be more sexier picks like a Trey Mann. I know a lot of people wanted Cooper, but I would go with Jared Butler here if I'm the New York Knicks. And at number 20, it is the Atlanta Hawks, and I just mentioned his name. I would go with Trey Mann. If there's one position that the Hawks probably need some depth at, or, an additional player, it is at point guard. Even though I like Skylar May, shout out to Skylar. The Hawks are just deep everywhere, at every position. But I think addressing a backup point guard, someone that can play with Trae Young and back him up, I think Trae Mann would be, the ideal choice there. Mann is like this rare three-point shot creator. So I like Trae Mann going to the Atlanta Hawks. All right, I'm moving through these. Moving on down to pick number 21. And it is the New York Knicks back on the clock again. And I have New York selecting Trey Murphy. Murphy will add shooting. I know the Knicks, on paper, they shot the ball well from three. But in the playoffs, they struggled with scoring. So me, as the new general manager of the Knicks, based off of this episode, I've added shooting. I've added size with Murphy. I think when you're starting to see his name rising up these draft boards, it's well-deserved. I mean, he's a pretty good athlete, has the combination of size and shooting to, I think, could possibly play positions 2 through 4 in the right lineups. I think that he has the potential to be a really good 3-and-D guy. Trey Murphy to the Knicks would be my choice. At number 22, it is the Los Angeles Lakers. And if this was like, on TV and there was a green room, you would see Keon Johnson there with tears rolling down his eyes, crying, trying to figure out why he is sliding so far down the draft. He is not the best fit for the Los Angeles Lakers. But the talent is there, and it's something that the Lakers could possibly package in a trade. But Keon Johnson is the best player available, or at least the best player with the highest upside available. Again, I know it's not the best fit, but if I'm the Lakers and Keon Johnson is sitting there, I think that he has the talent and the upside that they could package. Along with, I keep hearing, I think I saw that they're trying to package Kuzma and KCP to every team in the league. Adding Keon Johnson to that mix would definitely help them probably get another scorer, another shooter in return. So Los Angeles Lakers and Keon Johnson. So Keon, don't look for a place in LA if this really happens, because you are going to be on the move, my buddy. All right, at number 23, it is the Houston Rockets, and another player that I have sliding, it is Kai Jones. Houston is also in position to kind of swing for the fences. They have a bunch of picks in the next few years. Kai Jones is someone that a lot of people may think is a lottery pick. Very high upside. Again, I know I used that word again. On paper, he shot 38% from three. It's on a low volume of attempts, but he is a very good athlete. Has the potential, again, there's the word again, to be a shot blocking, rim rolling, pick and pop guy. If it all pans out, I've been on record and I've said it a million times. If he's an all-star in 5 years, I would not be shocked. If he's playing for Panathinaikos or Olympiacos, I wouldn't be shocked, because he's really raw, but the upside is there. Back on the clock again, it is the Houston Rockets, and I got him selecting the professional scorer. He's been a professional scorer since he was a teenager. It is Cam Thomas. If you're Oak Hill's all-time leading scorer, you got to be special. Like, Thomas has a game that is an acquired taste. I mean, the ball's not going to move. When he gets the ball, you know it's going up. Not the most efficient guy, but one thing he does do is get buckets, and he gets to the foul line. Got to the free throw line 7 times per game, which is crazy in college basketball. And also, if you consider he shot 7 3-pointers a game. So Cam Thomas would be this instant offense guy that could, I guess, be like a younger version of Eric Gordon, whose name has been mentioned in trade rumors. I think I saw some package where it's like Eric Gordon and one of these late first-round picks to Indiana for 13, which would give the Rockets 2 lottery picks. So that'd be pretty interesting if that happens. All right, at number 25, it is the Los Angeles Clippers, and I have them selecting Day'Ron Sharpe. Sharpe's name seems to be kind of rising on boards. I feel like he was in the late 20s at one point. Then he fell to outside of the first round. I guess he's had some good workout. He would give the Clippers some much-needed size. I mean, I think they need like another backup behind Zubac. Don't know about Serge Ibaka. I don't know. I've always thought Ibaka was older than the age he was listed, and this could be the year that he falls off a cliff. So I would go with some size there, even though they Had a big from, I forgot to get Arturo from Minnesota last year. I still would go with Sharp there. I think he has a higher upside. At number 26, now remember, I am saying this as if I am the general manager, and it is my guy. I've had a chance to meet him. He worked out here in Dallas, hung out, went to dinner. I've been pumping him up since December. Chad Ford shouted me out and said that my advocacy for Vrens Blindberg has helped other teams pay attention to him.
Chad Ford, if the Mavericks were able to buy a pick somehow to get into it or trade for something, send, I don't know, if they wanted, if Tyrell Terry wanted to go somewhere else and they're like, let's send Tyrell Terry for a second round pick. Who are some sleeper type second round picks that the Mavericks could go after?
Well, let's give a shout out to Rafael Barlow from the Locked On NBA Draft podcast, who has been pushing Vrens Blindberg from Belgium all year, was not on a lot of NBA radar screens, but I think Rafael was right about him. I think more of the teams have looked at him and pushed for him. Here's a 7-footer who can handle the ball, can pass the ball, can shoot the ball.
If that is true, that is like crazy to me that teams are paying attention to my YouTube channel, my podcast, and it made them take a second look. But if that is the case, I also feel like, what in the world have you guys been doing? He's 6'11". He moves like a guard. He has the playmaking skills where you can run 4 or 5 pick and rolls. I think he can play him at multiple positions, maybe 1 through 4 best case scenario. So I don't understand how Vrens Blindberg has been underrated. I had him as a first round pick back in December. You can check the videos out where I mentioned I thought he was a first-round pick. So far, I haven't seen him as a first-round pick on anybody's mock draft, but I do see him on boards now, which was not the case 3 weeks ago. So the Denver Nuggets have a good track record of developing international players, international oversized guards. Jokic is an oversized guard, even though he plays a center. I mean, those passing skills are guard-like. So I would love to see Vrens in Denver. At number 27, it is the Brooklyn Nets. You have to feel good about your chances for next year if everyone is healthy. I still think there's some needs that the team can address. I know Blake Griffin is a free agent, played well at center. And if you're Brooklyn, all you need to do is just find a complementary piece. So I would go with the shot blocking, rim protecting, with a little bit of post game, Neemias Queta from Utah State. All he needs to do in Brooklyn is run the floor, catch passes, score off dump-offs, and protect the rim. If he can do that, then, I mean, there should be a role for him right away. I know they have Nick Claxton. DeAndre Jordan is pretty much a glorified cheerleader at this point, so I would go with Queta. At 28, it is the Philadelphia 76ers. And if I'm Philly, I'm going with upside here. I'm going with Josh Primo. Josh has the potential. Again, I keep using that word. But that's what happens when you have a draft full of guys that are 18 and 19 years old. The words potential and upside are going to come up often. But Josh Primo is a potential pick. I think that, I know that he's the youngest player in this draft. If he comes out in 2022, I think he's a lottery pick, if not a lottery pick, right outside the lottery. So I think that you kind of get a steal here if he's available, which I think he should be available. So at number 28, if I'm Philly, I'm going with Josh Primo. I think that he has the upside to be a floor spacer. I think that he is the prototypical NBA wing with his size, shooting, and he does show some flashes of being able to put the ball on the floor. So Josh Primo would be my choice here. At number 29, I was kind of torn on what I would do if I'm the Phoenix Suns. I was torn between Bones Highland, but I ended up going with Isaiah Todd. I think Isaiah Todd is very, very underrated. I think of Isaiah Todd and DeAndre Ayton front court. I think that it will allow Phoenix to have versatility, shooting, and I really believe that they would need to groom someone that can replace Jay Crowder. I know they selected Jalen Smith last year. He didn't play much, but I really like Isaiah Todd. Again, I feel like Isaiah Todd is highly, highly slept on, and I think that he's going to be a very good value pick for a team that selects him. And in this case, I have him going to the Phoenix Suns. And at number 30, The last pick of the first round, I have the Utah Jazz selecting Jaden Springer from Tennessee. Do not know what the future holds for Mike Conley, but I think the Jazz need to start looking in the direction of adding some depth at point guard. I think Springer could come in and earn some minutes as a defender in his rookie year. Offensively, I think that he has some skills that you can work with. May not have like the best first step, or may not be like a player that I think can be an engine for a team, but I think that he can develop into a pretty good game manager and role player. So that's why I have the Jazz selecting him at number 30. And you're probably wondering, like, what happened to Bones Highland and Zaire Williams? Zaire Williams did not make my first round. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that. I'm not anti-Zaire Williams, but I'm a guy that believes in looking at the film. And when I watched his film, I was not impressed. When I looked at the numbers, I was not impressed. He's someone that I feel like is living off the hype that he had coming in to college basketball season. I understand that there are some factors there. I understand that he had a knee injury. Stanford was a team on the road. But again, me personally, I go by what I see on college as opposed to what I see in high school. I do look at the high school stuff a little bit to see if they're showing anything different. But I guess I'll use Precious Achiuwa as an example. When I saw Precious's film in high school, he was handling the ball and dribbling. So I know that he has a little bit of that in his game, but I know that's not going to be the role that he plays in the NBA. Best case scenario, he's able to kind of unlock that. But for the most part, I just see him as an energy guy that may be able to tackle on straight line drives. With all that being said, with Zaire Williams, I see the potential a little bit, but I just did not see it on the college level. I think that he's best suited to go to a team like, let's say, Milwaukee, early in the second round, a team that doesn't necessarily need him, but they can develop him and bring him along slowly. But that wraps up my last mock draft before the NBA draft. Actually, I still have a little bit of time. I still have one more Locked On episode. I have a player that I'm hoping to bring on. Been talking to his agent, and we'll see if it happens. If not, then I'll probably do a second round, which is fun to me, which is why I cannot wait until the actual live draft show, because the second round is where I feel like I really get a chance to show what I know and separate myself from a lot of the guys that watch the draft, because the second round, I mean, it goes by fast. I want to say it's like every 2 minutes, and then you have to know all of these international guys who may be draft and stash guys, even though a lot of the international players backed out the draft. So you got to at least be 60 to 80 to maybe even 100 prospects deep to be able to cover the second round effectively, and I'm looking forward to that. And this is Raphael with Locked On NBA Draft, and I'm out.